Okay, I'm showing that it's 2 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting to order. If I can have your attention a minute. This is a meeting of the Board of Trustees of Weatherford College. Today is Thursday, November 14, 2019. It is 2 p.m. We're in the Eileen Strain Community Room of the Doss Student Center located at 225 College Park Drive, Weatherford, Parker County, Texas, to consider and act on the posted agenda. The first item on the agenda is call to order. I'll ask Mr. Baker to give us the invocation, if you will.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Please bow with me. Lord, this is the month of Thanksgiving, and as we do every month, we just want to start by thanking you for this college, for these students, faculty, staff, administrators, our board members. You have given us so much. Please help us to do your will here at this college and to improve the human condition. We thank you for our board, and please be with them as they deliberate. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Let's all stand up and I'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. Second item on the agenda is open forum. Ms. Worley.
There are none.
Thank you, ma'am. Third item is President's Report. President Farmer, recognitions, employee notices.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman and members of the Weatherford College Board of Trustees, I would like to give a few brief recognitions and employee notifications. Recognitions. Today we have 4 members of our institutional advancement team who have been recognized by the National Council for Marketing and Public Relations: Chelsea Cochran, Katie Edwards, Crystal Worley, and Brent Baker. Would all of you please stand so that we can give you a round of applause? Weatherford College won several medallion awards from NCMPR's District 4, competing with community colleges of all sizes from 6 states, including Texas, Arkansas, Colorado, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Wyoming. WC won the following: a bronze medallion in the poster category for Chelsea's Hamlet poster, a bronze medallion in the website category for Chelsea and Katie's 150.com site, a bronze in social media marketing for the WC 150 campaign led by Crystal and supported by the whole team, and a gold medal in the newsletter category for the Hilltop magazine, edited by Katie and created by the whole team. We appreciate all the quality work that you do. Thank you so much for all that you do for our students. Congratulations are also in order for our Bell Ringers Ball Planning Committee. We had an amazing event last Saturday evening. Last month when I recognized the Planning Committee, I overlooked Dr. Andra Cantrell. And it was Dr. Cantrell's membership at Ridgely Country Club that actually allowed us to host the event at that location. So we are very appreciative of the entire committee's work and the work that Dr. Cantrell has done. She and Judy McAnally helped create the beautiful scarf that she is wearing today in support of our rodeo team. They are still selling those, and they are quite beautiful. So again, thank you, Dr. Cantrell, for helping with the planning event. Congratulations to WC Foundation President Bob Glenn on being named the 2019 recipient of the Carlos Hartnett Award. Bob has done a tremendous job leading the Weatherford College Foundation. Merlin Coleman recently hosted her 100th art show at Weatherford College. As amazing as it sounds, Merlin is in her 50th year of service at Weatherford College and was the 2019 recipient of the Presidential Service Award. Congratulations are in order to our Weatherford College Phi chapter of the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society for their recent induction and reunion ceremony. Our Phi chapter, the oldest chapter in the state of Texas, is celebrating their 90th anniversary. Recognition is in order for the WC Young Democrats group who recently participated in the Tin Top Road cleanup. We appreciate your public service. Congratulations are in order for Ralph Willingham and all those who made our WC Veterans Day celebration such a huge success. Thank you to all who helped us appropriately honor and thank our veterans. Dwayne Durrett and Dr. Sarah Locke are to be commended for hosting what was an exceptional superintendent conference. School leaders from across the region attended and expressed appreciation for the well-organized event. WC Alumnus of the Year John Vandergriff recently lectured on the early history of Weatherford College and the Methodist Church. We appreciate the First United Methodist Church in Weatherford for hosting that well-attended event. Thanks are also in order to the Weatherford College Police Department and all the volunteers who made Safe Halloween such a huge success. The weather cooperated and we had a huge crowd. And finally, thanks are in order to Vance Christie and the army of volunteers that made our annual FFA Leadership Development Conference a huge success. We hosted hundreds of high school students from across the state. Employee notices. DMAC Local requires the college president to provide the names of contracted employees who have resigned since the last board meeting. In accordance with this policy, the following individuals have submitted resignations. Eloise Broughton, an instructor in nursing, is retired effective 12/20/19. Cindy Clifton, a purchasing specialist, is retiring effective January 6th. And Dr. Daniel O'Meara resigned effective November 10th, 2019. We thank Eloise, Cindy, and Dr. O'Meara for their service and wish them the best in future endeavors. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the President's report.
Matt, could I say something real quick?
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to really commend all you guys. I thought the gala Saturday night was one of the most beautiful things, and everybody had such a good time. And Dr. Cantrell really had full scope of the scars. I'd love to take credit. I was just a pest on her inner side, so she really did that. But Brent, you did just a phenomenal job. It was stunning. My husband even had fun, and he's
Here, here.
Thank you. We had a really great team working on the event. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that was a great event.
It was a beautiful event.
Yeah. And the other thing that bowled me over was the music. Oh my gosh. That was just wonderful.
Everything was really, really nice.
But the whole thing was, there was a lot of work done on that, and you all deserve a tremendous, let's give everybody on that a
I didn't think anything could top the rodeo, but you did it. So.
Well, all right. We'll move to item 4 on the agenda. It's the consent agenda and financial reports. Are there any questions about any of those items on that, on 4? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda and financial reports? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimously approved. Thank you. We'll move to number 5, consideration possible action, Parker County Appraisal District Director's ballot for official vote. Dr. Cantrell.
Okay. Section 6.03 of the Texas Property Code requires that each voting tax unit to vote on an open meeting and record its vote by resolutions on the directors that are named for the coming 2 years, I believe. A taxing unit may cast its votes from one candidate or distributed among all those that have been nominated. We can't come up with additional names, but we vote on the ones that have been given. I think a list has been attached of the people that have been nominated, and Weatherford College has 290 votes out of 5,000 that will be cast in the county from all the school districts, the county, the cities, and these directors would sit on with the appraisal board for the work that will be done in the next couple of years.
Exactly right.
And that's
Is there any comment or questions or discussion about that item? Is there a motion about that item? If not, I'll make a motion that we grant our votes for the slate And if there's a second,
Second.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes.
The second,
Uh,
for the second nominee,
No, for the entire slate.
oh, for the one, split
Yeah.
it between the entire
Yeah,
slate.
okay. All right.
I can do that.
So we'll move to number 6, consideration possible action, architectural services, number RFQ-01-20. Dr. Cantrell.
Let me check one thing, Mac, on that.
Okay.
It doesn't say they can't be split totally with all of them, but it just says the 5 candidates receiving the highest number will be declared the winners.
That's what I thought.
Okay, thank you. We've worked very hard the last couple of months on soliciting proposals from architectural firms. Dan and I've worked on this. My office purchasing has worked very hard, led by Jeannie Hobbs. Mr. Raleigh McCoy is with us. He has been hired as a consultant on this project with us to choose the architects and get us moving forward with the construction manager at risk, what we so named. So he'd like to visit with you all a little while and tell you exactly what has been done to come up with this list of names that we're recommending to you all today.
Mr. McCoy, if you don't mind, I'll just remind the board that he was the architect for the workforce facility at Victoria College that we sent a team down to tour. We were told what an exceptional facility that was, and we found that to be true firsthand as our team went and toured that facility. That led to us hiring him as a consultant for our project here, and we're honored to have him with us here today.
Thank you, Dr. Farmer. And thank you for having me here today. And I want to tell you what an honor it is for me to work for Weatherford College. Community colleges are near and dear to my heart. One of the greatest heartwarming things in my long career is having served Victoria College, basically helping them on all their construction projects. I've been involved in every single construction project on that campus for 35 years.
Wow.
So community colleges are near and dear to my heart. I love the mission of community colleges, and I think that they're going to play an important part in the future of our country, quite frankly. And workforce buildings are one of the premier things that they do that are going to help make lives better for a lot of people, and they're much needed. So we did go through a rather rigorous process of selection. We prepared RFQs, invitations were sent out and advertised legally and sent to approximately 80 firms by Ms. Hobbs. Approximately 30 firms requested the RFQ documents. A pre-qualification conference was held on September 24th with 16 attendees. Then 11 statements of qualifications were received in response to the RFQ on October 4th. The ranking committee, after studying all of the RFQs received or the statements of qualifications, first met on October 21st and determined a short list of 6 firms to be interviewed. Now, step back a little bit. This was an RFQ to select a project architect for the Workforce Commission, and then also a pool of architects selected based on their qualifications to be available for future work in the next coming years for you. The interviews were conducted over 2 days on October 30th and 31st. The ranking committee began final rankings on the shortlisted firms on the afternoon of October 30th and finished their work on the morning of November 1st. The final rankings resulted in 5 firms, Huckabee, Stantec, HHS, MNK, and VLK, being selected as the pool of qualified architects for future projects. And also Huckabee and Associates were deemed the #1 ranked firm for the workforce building project. So once that ranking was done, Mr. Curley and I entered into negotiations with Huckabee. One thing that helps speed that process up, we included a sample contract in the RFQ and asked the firms to review that contract. If they had any issues with the terms and conditions of it, they had to make it known to us before they turned in their qualifications. And so all we had to basically negotiate was the fee. And so we got a proposal back from Huckabee. It was well within normal fee ranges that you would expect on a project like this. And our recommendation to you is to allow Dr. Farmer to execute a contract with Huckabee and Associates for that project on the Workforce Commission building, the Workforce building. So that's the recommendation that I bring to you today.
Are there any questions or comments to Mr. McCoy at this time by anyone? All right. Anything else before I call for a motion on that?
No, unless you have any further questions.
Anything else? Okay. Well, what I will do is I'll make a motion that the board approve and authorize the negotiation of, in anticipation of executing a contract with Huckabee and Associates as our architect for the new workforce building project as presented in the handout and also by Mr. McCoy.
If I may, we have that contract.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Approved.
Yes, sir. Is there a second?
Second. Question, is the motion going to mention Dr. Farmer? Or that comes later?
No, I would assume that that's
To
going to be in the
authorize
document.
Dr. Farmer to
Okay,
execute the contract.
okay,
Yes,
that's my
yes.
question.
If not, that would be a part of my motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Now, are you speaking on the next
Yes, sir.
matter also? I would assume you are.
And if I may, today we have David Gustav from Huckabee Associates here and Mark Berg. Mark Berg is the principal in charge of higher education with Huckabee and Associates. And David Gustav is the one that I'm going to get to know real well because he's going to be the on-site project manager for the project.
Well, welcome. We're glad to have you today.
Be here. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
David has worked with us before with another firm at one time. We won't mention any names, but he has been working with us for a good long while.
Well, thank you. Mr. McCoy, go ahead.
All right. The next item on the agenda, I believe, is for us to move forward with the selection process, putting out an RFQ to select a CM at risk for the project. It requires that we have two resolutions today. The first resolution that's in your package is basically to determine the method of procurement for this project. The Government Code 2269 requires that any method of procurement other than a bid, a competitive bid, must be selected by the public entity before advertising goes out. So that's what resolution number 1 accomplishes. Resolution number 2 in your packet is the 2269 allows the public entity to delegate its authority, it allows this board to delegate its authority to conduct the process under 2269 to a person, committee, or of their choice. And my recommendation would be that you delegate that authority to Dr. Farmer. And Dr. Farmer then will create a committee, and Dan Curley and I will assist him in putting together the selection criteria that will be included in that RFQ. And then once the process is finished, he will come back to you and recommend the best valued offer for a CM at risk on that project. In other words, you have the ultimate say.
All right. So My understanding is that we're down to agenda item number 7, which is stated as consideration and possible action to determine the method of procurement that provides best value on construction and authorization of delegation of authority on emerging technology, the workforce building project. Is that right, Dr. Kendall?
Agenda item number 7.
Okay, all right.
Yes, sir.
So I make the motion that the Board of Trustees approve the construction manager at risk method as the method of construction that provides the best value and delegation of authority to Dr. Todd Farmer, President of Weatherford College, for the Emerging Technology Workforce Building Project as it's been presented. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Anything else,
Thank
Mr.
you.
McCoy?
No, sir, I think we're done today, and thank you so much. It's
Well,
an
thank
honor
you.
for me to be
It's,
here.
I haven't introduced myself, but hopefully all the board members can sit down and talk with you at some point.
Great.
And we
I'd love
really
to do that.
appreciate the architects to come today, and we're excited about this project.
It's been a very rewarding and great experience, and thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. You got high marks from Mr. Curley over here. Very high marks.
I've been doing this an awfully long time.
So's Mr. Curley.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right, we'll move to number 8, consideration possible action, reinstatement of athletic programs, men's golf, women's tennis, additional sports. Coach McKinley, Athletic Director. Thank you, sir. How are you today?
I've been better. These kind of things are a little nervous.
Are they?
Anyway,
All right.
I just wanted to, I have a written statement.
Thank you.
And I just say good afternoon to all of you and appreciate the opportunity to be here. For those of you that I have not had the pleasure of meeting, and some of you are that category, I'm Bob McKinley. I've been at Weatherford College for 44 years. I coach basketball, women's, and I'm the athletic director. I've enjoyed and appreciated the continued support of the Board of Trustees, the administration, in helping us grow our athletic program and providing opportunities for our students to excel in those sports that we've offered. I'd like to thank you for your dedication and service to our community. And today is an opportunity for our Board of Trustees to consider reinstating and growing an athletic program here at Weatherford College. Reinstating, and we've had golf and tennis before, and we would love to reinstate both of those, men and women's golf, and offer volleyball for the first time in our school history. The timeline for expanding our athletic program and projecting the budget is attached to the board agenda for your consideration to advance the athletic program and add to our history of excellence in athletics. As the athletic director at Weatherford College, I'm recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the athletic program timeline as presented to include men's golf and women's tennis in the fall of 2020, women's volleyball in the fall of 2021, and women's golf and men's tennis in the fall of 22. And I'd like to thank you for your consideration and for your efforts that you've put into making our athletic program the success that it is today. And we do have one of the finest athletic programs in the state of Texas. And we look forward to that continuing. And the sports that we're talking about adding can do nothing but give us more visibility, not only in our community, but our state, but nationally. And we feel like that both golf, tennis, and volleyball have an opportunity to succeed on a national level. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Coach. Are
Thank
there
you.
any questions or comments for the coach or Dr. Farmer?
I do.
Yes.
I read in here that you're talking, I'm just a question about the timeline. I think it's all great and I think we should do the sports, but said volleyball has been a consideration for a number of years, and we are the only community college not represented in the North Texas Junior College Athletic Conference. if we're not represented in a sport, why are we making that a second tier? Why are we not bumping that to earlier in the timeline for the volleyball?
One of the things is recruiting. We want to be sure that we have a year in advance to recruit so that we have a signing date, a national signing date that starts November the 1st. And if we start one like after the school year starts, then puts us back almost a year behind on the recruiting process.
So we've already started recruiting for the men's golf and
We're
tennis?
going to start that in the fall for golf and for tennis.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. You probably are asking why we're not recommending to put in volleyball immediately.
Yes, that's
with
exactly
other
what I'm
boards.
asking. Yeah.
But the gymnasium, we've been told, will have to be retrofitted
Okay.
in order to play in there.
That's the
so it's
answer I'm
gonna
looking
take a
for.
little while
Thank
to-
you.
That's what I was gonna ask about, was the gym, because I thought,
Right. Our gym ceiling is not high enough legally,
Okay.
according to the rules. But what you do is, if you have shortcomings with facilities, you make rules that adjust to those things.
Okay.
Like our ceiling is like 22 feet, and the required height is 30 for volleyball.
Okay,
The one thing we'll have to do in ours is that we'll have to replace the lights.
okay.
Our lights are like those long,
Mm-hmm,
and they're chained up, and we'll have to have those replaced.
okay,
And that's the only, and we will have to have our floor refinished and have a court put down.
okay.
And those are the only additional things we'd have to do for volleyball.
Okay.
But those things both are time consuming.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Cantor. Appreciate you.
what about scheduling practices, since you're adding one more sport in the gym?
Well, that's one of the things that we've discussed too, is that it'll just put a little bit more of a bind on what we're doing, because we have one gym facility with hopes of maybe eventually getting another one. But what would happen is we'd just have to set different time periods. Right now, we have only time periods open in early morning and late in the afternoon, late afternoon practices. And those are things that we just have to work out between the coaches.
We've done it before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've done it
Every
before.
facility has that issue, yeah.
Yeah, well, our facility is used for all of our kinesiology classes. It's used for free time for the students that live in the dorm. So it is a really highly used facility.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Is there a motion that the Board of Trustees approve the athletic program reinstatement and expansion timeline as presented by Coach McKinley and as set out in the agenda item, presented to include men's golf and women's tennis fall 2020, women's volleyball fall 2021, and women's golf and men's tennis fall 2022. Is there such a motion?
I so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach,
Thanks, Coach.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You did a great job.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right, we'll move to agenda item number 9, Equities and Athletics Report. Mr. Finley, thank you, sir.
Within your board packet, you'll find this year's Equities and Athletics Report. This report is required for all institutions of higher education that participate in federal student aid and offer intercollegiate athletic programs. We are required to publish October of each year, and currently this document can be found on our main website. The report follows a format required by the Department of Education. It contains data on participation rates, gender, and highlights expenses and revenues for each athletic program. The purpose of the report is intended to make prospective students aware of schools' commitment to providing equitable athletic opportunities for all student athletes. The last page of the report provides a summary. Our current male participation rates in athletics is disproportionate to our current student body. However, the increase in female-related athletic aid indicates WC's commitment to providing equitable opportunities for all of our students. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Finley. Any questions or comments to Mr. Finley? If not, we'll go to 9B, Guided Pathways Update. How are we doing with student success using numbers with heart? Mr. Indy.
Thank you. Okay, Larry, how do I make the little Larry go down? I get Larry Glory or something. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Larry.
Well, I'm going to try to make this as quick and combined as we can. As I begin the Pathways presentation, demand study, and the vet tech program update, I'd like to suggest that we consider demand study as an aspect of our pathways as we move forward. We'll be glad to keep those as separate reports for you as long as you like. But the more we invest in our Pathways initiative, the more we're finding that we want to combine our data to support student programs and student success. And so demand studies become a natural part of our Pathways activities, and hopefully we'll be able to show that to you today. So last time we met, we talked to you about going to the San Antonio Institute this past week. 13 members of Weatherford College went. We called them the Pathways Leadership Team. 4 of us went to pre-conference meetings. We learned a lot about what we ought to be doing at Weatherford College and how we're comparing to other institutions. We conducted our post-conference debriefing yesterday afternoon, and that team will present its findings, its recommendations, and what the Texas Association of Community Colleges terms their short-term action plan for Institute 1 to the Weatherford College in an open meeting we'll hold in early December. We'll be glad to notify the entire Weatherford College community about that. We'll also post our minutes online, and we'll report that information, if you like, in your January 2020 meeting. Our leadership team is planning new in-service activities aimed at the Pathways initiatives following the faculty and staff and professional development. We're going to look at in-service a bit differently, and we're going to start featuring activities regularly on Friday afternoons. We're calling it Framework Fridays. Becky Bird is in charge of that. Some of you have been around a while. Remember when we used to do in-service activities on Fridays. So it's not something new so much as something coming back. We're also going to be requesting a site visit from Dr. Linda Garcia, the Executive Director of the Center for Community College Student Engagement at the University of Texas at Austin. She is our Pathways coach and has been since the initiation of the project. She'll be coming to visit us as her time allows us, as her time allows her, to conduct coaching sessions. Dr. Garcia was very complimentary of our group during our last meeting, so she saw a lot of progress in what we're doing. And this is paid for by the grant for the Texas Association of Community Colleges, and we can do that twice a year at cost to that organization. So that's a great opportunity, and we'll be taking advantage of it, and we'll make you aware of when Dr. Garcia will be here to visit us. In our last meeting, we talked about changes that were required or needed or indicated by our institutional survey. This was an internal survey we got completed, and one of the first things people told us we needed to clarify our goals. So you'll see that we're working on a new mission and vision statement and value statements that we'll be deploying in the early spring. Next thing that we heard was the leadership team and institute attendees needed to be clarified. TACC identifies the 7 core members, and we're compliant with TACC, but we're going to be discussing who else should be participating on a regular basis. We're not going to be rotating participants in the institutes anymore. That's not recommended. They want continuity so that we further our agenda. We aren't teaching people on site in San Antonio, Houston, or Dallas, wherever we may be. All of our leadership team members will be involved as leaders of task forces moving forward. The last time we met, we talked about new task forces and what we were doing rather than standing committees. That was echoed in the Institute 1 session to focus more on work groups and less on groups of individuals who talk. So we have 2 new task forces forming right now on our in-service regroup, our Frameworks Fridays. We wanted to report to you that the Taxonomy of Learning Task Force that was talking about the language we use to talk about learning has completed its project and will be presenting to the Curriculum and Academic Standards Committee before the end of this semester, as will the Learning Outcomes Task Force. They're programming materials into our baseline system, and we want to make sure that all of that's weaving together nicely so that faculty, students, and staff understand what it is we're trying to teach our students, what they're asked to learn, and how we measure the value of those things. We're inviting pathway participation across the institution, not only in task force leadership, but we'll be having this in our Framework Fridays, inviting people to get involved. Our philosophy now is the more people who get involved and invested in these pathways projects at the level that they have passion about the college, the more likely it is that the college will develop that culture of caring about its students. We can't do that by just sharing the message top down. We have to get information from people at the institution about what matters to them, what we can improve on, and then listen to them about how we're going to go about doing it. So that's our plan. We're going to communicate pathways to the college, lots of publications, including an October newsletter, which you should have received. We're working on the November newsletter now. We're publishing that information to a Pathways website. We'll make sure that that's as attractive and accessible as we can make it, compliant with UDL standards. And as of yesterday, we had our open meeting at the Welcome Center, and of course, if you're interested in attending, we had late notification yesterday, and for that I apologize, but we just gotten back from San Antonio, and we're trying to get everybody together. As we move forward, we'll provide you ample notification, as we will the whole college community, about when Pathways meetings occur, and invite folks to come and sit in and watch what we're doing and comment as they will. So that's my report on Pathways. Are there any questions about Pathways, what we're doing, or where we need to be going? Any comments?
You know, I just want to say that I think this is a great program. I think it is crucial to the development of these colleges throughout the state. My little bit of introduction into it about a year ago has really made me want to try to stay on top of it. But I really appreciate the effort that's going into this Pathways program. There's a lot of work going on, and there's a lot of progress that I think is being made. And I think it's going to be so helpful to not only the people that are teaching it, but also the people that are trying to receive the benefits. They don't even know about that.
Yeah.
But this is a great program. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate all the efforts of all the people here that are working on this. It takes a lot of time. And I just want to tell you thank you.
I'll second that.
On behalf of all the staff and faculty and students and you for helping us. It takes a community to do this, and we really appreciate the commitment you've made to it. And we look forward to pushing the institution forward to be the best institution we can, an excellent institution for our students and our community. Looking forward to the demand study.
Okay.
We're going to talk about some things that are going on right now. We've been telling you we're going to have the fall 2019 Omnibus survey. That's ready to go out shortly. I'm not going to read this all to you. What I would like you to realize is we're going to ask students about their scheduling preferences. What we know is if a student can't sign up for a class when it fits in their life schedule, they sometimes miss that class, and that either stops them in college progress or at least delays them. And so we're going to be asking them directly about schedule preferences and how they fit in their life. We're also going to be asking about student-facing customer satisfaction. What is their experience in various student services areas across the campus? What's working well for them? What is not? What can we do to improve? So that survey is going to be heading out November 21st, which is, I believe, Thursday of next week, and it will remain open until February 15th, 2020. And we're going to keep gathering data on how students see us as a college in terms of our scheduling, but also our service to them as students, as our clients. Hopefully you see how that relates to our Pathways initiative. Got to find out who they are and what they need. Next, we're going to talk about a basic needs survey, which we're scheduling for early spring. We don't have a delivery date named yet, but that survey, which is being built right now, will cover 3 basic areas of concern. The first is financial security. We've got a Pathways leadership team working, task force working on microloans as an issue, another working on how students report crisis, because it isn't always going to the counseling center. So we're looking at these issues, and part of that is getting information from students about key areas of security. Financial security, they pay their way through college. A lot of these students are one crisis away from being out of college.
Yeah.
We discussed that last time. Food security, which is very much related to financial security, but it's a whole other matter. And we want to get to the specifics of food security. Short-term crises and long-term crises in food securities have tremendous implications for our students. And one that we don't think a lot about perhaps here, but housing security. There hasn't been a year that's gone by, in my recent memory unfortunately, when someone didn't come to my office and talk to me about a student living in a dorm, or a student couch surfing from family to family to family. We can't fix that without asking about it and learning more about what's happening with our students. So we're going to put that information into our survey and see what we can get back, learn about our students and how we might be able to help them in these critical areas. Finally, right now, I believe Mr. Curley and Mr. Butler are working on a gap analysis, working with an outside third party. They're going to look at the college totally in its environmental scan to determine where are we meeting local employer needs and regional employer needs, and where are we missing it in terms of the programs we're operating. We're also, because we're already conducting research on student interest, we're going to combine those factors to determine where we're effectively delivering the programs we ought to be delivering, where we might be missing opportunities or where new opportunities are arising, and areas of potential redesign so that we can meet current and anticipated market demands, which is the nice way of saying where we've got programs that are out there, but students don't want them or the industry doesn't want them. We've got to figure out what to do about them, because not everything in higher education has an unlimited lifespan. So we're going to start looking at that. Those are the issues that are currently on our table for demand study. Are there any questions about these?
I got to give you praise for demand studies. Every time we get demand studies, it opens my eyes to what you're talking about in more detail. And so all of those areas that you talked about, especially the different needs, financial, all the financial especially, I can appreciate more now than ever before the need on a real basic level for some of the monies that these people get. And you're right, it makes all the difference in the world in their success and what they do here at Weatherford College. I mean, we're talking about a little bit of money that is so important to these people. It's just amazing to me. And so I appreciate what you're doing to get that information and the other things like food. If we can do that and attack it like you're doing right now, it's really going to help us in our success here. So I appreciate everything everybody's doing in that regard too.
Well, on behalf of the whole college working on this issue, and it really is the whole college.
It is.
We thank you and we appreciate your support as the board. This is a new, for some of us, a new way of looking at the college, but it is a vital thing that we change our perspective on. Not all of our students, but a large portion of students who need us to look at them as more than simply the people who come and go and take our classes.
How are you distributing the surveys?
The surveys? You want to talk about distribution for the students?
Certainly. Last year, we purchased from Campus Labs a system called Baseline. It's a kind of combination survey rubric management system. It'll go out electronically. Students will be able to connect into it from their phones. It's very adaptive to the environment that they're in. They'll log in, fill out the survey, we'll compile the results. It's confidential.
How do they know the survey's there?
We'll be sending out emails, we'll be posting it in our LMS. I'll be contacting Katie's group in order to make sure that it's on the website. Any vector that we can come up with. We'll also be posting around the campus posters that have a QR code so the student can just scan it with their phone and it takes them right to the site, they log in and they're able to complete it.
That's good.
Recently, if I may, in response to the recognition that students in crisis often handle those crises as privately as we can, so where they tend to go to is a restroom, into a stall in the restroom. So recently, our Upward Bound folks posted in holders on the back of restroom stalls emergency crisis contact information. And so we're learning on a regular basis, we're looking for how do we work to reach our students more effectively. So what we're planning to do right now may change as we learn more about where do we need to go to reach them. But we will use all of the places that Mr. Butler has talked about, and with our new faculty and course evaluation system embedded in our Canvas LMS, our students will be very used to using surveys, we hope, in the very near future, using surveys in that environment and trusting that they are anonymous, which is critical to the student. So
Do we have, and you might already be doing this, but we're talking about financial need and financial crisis, food security, things like that. Do we do, or do we have in mind in the future doing anything about teaching people how to budget, teaching people how to eat cost effectively, you know, the best calorie for the buck kind of thing? And I think it's great giving them a safety net, but we also have to, we're getting these kids into adulthood and they aren't always going to have a safety net, so we need to teach them how to think in adult
Yes.
manners. So are we are doing that?
Yes, there's both immediate short-term crisis resolution, but as we work on things like our Coyote College and our microloans, our emergency loans, which Mr. Baker helps us with, we're also developing a procedure, not just to generally teach people who might have an interest, but when we find someone who has repeated interest or repeated needs due to crisis, putting them into a training program that helps them to manage their life situations more effectively and learn which resources are available for them so that they don't just escape crisis temporarily, but actually work their way or find their way through assistance out of crisis.
Okay.
So that's a great question. And if you're interested in that, or anyone who is, we're putting, all you have to ask, and we will put you on a task force. If you're interested, we would love to have you.
Feel free. I'm on it.
Shante? There you go. She's our pathway specialist, and we would love to have your input.
Because at A&M, when I went to school, they had emergency monies, you know, in the semester. But if you signed up for that or you expressed an interest, you immediately had to take, I think it was a 15-hour course on managing your funds and things like that. Same with the food insecurities, things like that. So they really wanted you to help you with the situation, but keep you from having that situation further on down the road.
Here, here.
You're thinking exactly the way that we are.
Okay.
How do we balance that student's immediate crisis and the resolution of that crisis with the long-term care of that individual so they can focus again on their academics? But if they're not fed, if they're not safe, if they're worried about family, that's not their first priority, and we have to understand that to help them to be great students.
Right.
So any input like that, we welcome. Yes, sir.
I've heard nothing here that isn't very positive. I hear nothing but positive things from Wise County, you know, about programs and the direction, that sort of thing. And as you know, Wise County's growing. And therefore, there's that word, the demand would logically be growing. I'm just wondering, in order for us to fulfill the needs, the educational needs that a community college such as ours could provide, how are we knowing about that? What mechanisms are we using to know how we may need to change our curriculum at Wise County to serve that need? How do we know that? You know, how do we get a handle on that?
Well, that's a combination of things. First is doing student interest surveys. Find out what students think they want to do in their lives.
Are we doing that?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Then the next thing is local industry survey, and I believe Jeanette Cruz's folks are still interviewing people wherever they can get to them in our service area to find out what industry might need. Unfortunately, there's very little low-hanging fruit. There are very few industries that need 2,000 workers we haven't figured out is out there somewhere. So we're looking for the stuff higher up on the tree and stuff that may not be fully developed. What is the industry of the future that's emerging? And it may be very small now, but with some coordination between the college and the business, how do we grow that into an opportunity for future employment for our students? How do we grow that into an opportunity for future employment for people who may not directly be our students, but may benefit our region and therefore benefit our college? So we're doing that with our small business development and the corporate college that Hayden Harbaugh. Hayden is our corporate college coordinator for our workforce area, and Hayden has been assigned, Dr. Farmer has worked with Hayden to assign him specifically to the Wise County area in this interim period between the dean and any replacement to focus his energy there, and perhaps Dr. Farmer would like to address that with you at some point. I'm not going to put you on the spot, sir, but that is something we're doing. So we're doing the things to try to learn out more about what's going on, and this gap analysis is designed to look at our entire service region. Have I answered your question?
I don't know. I still, something bothers me is I really love what I heard here about serving the students and their financial needs, but how does the prospective student know that? In other words, it'd be a tremendous, our community college is tremendous value in reducing cost of higher education, particularly in the initial stages. And are we depending on high school counselors to transmit that information to them? How we, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just wondering how we're doing that. How do they know the good things that we're doing here?
Well, there are a couple of things. We're doing our work with the marketing area under Mr. Baker's guidance with how we market that service area wide and regionally. There's also the relationships we have with Dr. Locke, our dual credit and e-learning associate dean, who goes and visits personally. Also our TRIO programs go into those environments. Now they don't sell Weatherford College specifically, they're forbidden to by the mandate of the grants, but they do discuss the value of the community college, and especially your local service community college, as an economic value, but also a social value. So we are reaching beyond simply trusting that the high school counselors, who do a pretty good job for us. In our dual credit populations, we formed really strong relationships, and prior to that, the Counselors Network that Dr. Atkins helped to establish many years ago. We have strong support there, but there's always opportunity to make that better. How do we let people who are not inclined to think of college as an option for them, let them know that we're their college as well? And we're working on that with new programs, with who is this population who aren't attending and how do we reach them. There's always opportunity to make that better, and if you've got ideas, we welcome them.
Thank you, Mr. Indy. I appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Mr. Indy, do you want to go to vet tech update?
I'd love to, and I'm sure you'd like me to get there. So, thank you for your patience. We've had a really productive month in the vet tech program. We had our meeting with the advisory committee recently, and they approved, I want to make sure you understand this, focusing on vet tech as we move forward to advance that program. We are not going to do away with our vet assisting program, but we see it as more productive to embed one in the other. Rather than trying to recruit an entire population of students for vet assisting, along with an entire cohort for vet tech, and then in the second year, another cycle of that, we want to start by focusing on vet tech, the complete program, its first and second year, and Dr. Garofalo has worked hard to make sure that the curriculum will allow us to embed vet assisting into the first year of the vet tech program. So we're going to be focusing on vet tech in our 2020 implementation year. We are working on our marketing plan. We're working right now, Dr. Garofalo and Mr. Christie have worked on the agricultural facility, which is where we'll be teaching the program next year, to make sure it's up to AVMA standards. And Dr. Cantrell is helping us with managing those changes that are necessary. The program budget is being added to the WC budget proposal right now and moving into the spring. Dr. Farmer has approved the search for the vet tech position that is required, the instructor position, to begin in January 2020. And we're asking for an earlier initiation so that we can get all of our ducks in a row, the curriculum, the site, the students, for what we hope will be an approved site visit to occur either in late fall 2020 or early spring 2021, as we will initiate, if we're permitted to, both years of the vet tech program in the startup year. So we will bring back existing vet assistants who we've trained into our program, and they'll start in the second year so we can get them out into the workforce. And that was a main feature of the program as we brought it to you about a year ago and said we wanted to do this. It isn't just for 2 years straight through. We've got a lot of people in the marketplace who've been trained as vet assistants who have an interest in coming back. We'll also talk about the imaging equipment, which is necessary for the animal shelter for the fall of 2020. Are there any questions about the vet tech program initiation? No?
Sounds good. Sounds
Thank you
good.
for your patience and your time.
Thank you, Mr. Indy. Great reports. Number 10, future agenda items or meetings. President Farmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next month, we will be bringing you the 2019-2020 financial audit, as well as an update on our strategic plan process.
And that's it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Announcements, Mr. Baker, number 11.
Yes, sir. You see your sheet there. It's a full sheet of activities. I won't read every single item to you for the time's sake. However, you do see 9 basketball games there. Both of our teams are playing very well. They're both 3-1 so far early here in the season, so please support them if you can. Tonight, we have a special concert in the Alkek Center. It's called 2 Pianos, 8 Hands. And what this is, it's 2 pianos on the stage with Dr. Song and with 3 of her students. It's going to be a great concert this evening. Of course, it's free at 7:30 tonight. Tomorrow is our Baseball Booster Club Clay Shoot fundraiser. It's always an enjoyable time. And then Saturday, the 26th annual Coyote Chase Race 5K and 1 mile run. Looking forward to that this coming Saturday. The following weekend is our annual musical production. This year it's Little Shop of Horrors, November 21st through the 24th. They've been working very hard on that production. Looking forward to seeing that. Fall Jazz Concert on December the 5th, and our traditional selections from Handel's Messiah on December the 9th.
Is that it, sir?
That's it.
Thank you very much. That's great. Moving to the 12th item, closed session. We will close the open session, and as posted, we will take up that agenda at 3 p.m. Thank you. Okay, I will call the open meeting back into session, and we are now officially back in session. We'll move to number 13 on the agenda, consideration possible action, real estate. There is no action needed on 13, so we'll move to 14. Consideration possible action, personnel matters. There are no action items needed on number 14. And so now then I will move to 15. And does anyone have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There you go,
Motion
Chris.
second. All in favor say aye.
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 That passes, and we are adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.